I want to go through and fix every single Imperial Guard unit in the Codex. Let me explain. I would say that the Imperial Guard 10th edition Codex was pretty good. However, it does lack internal balance. There are units that you see all the time, and there are units that you rarely see. And so what I want to do is go through and essentially give my hot take on what I would do to fix the internal balance of the Imperial Guard 10th edition Codex. And we're going to do this with the units, and hopefully we'll have time to do it with the detachments as well. And this is just like my opinion. This is what I would do. And some units won't need any changes whatsoever. I think some units are fine. But some units, they do need bringing up, and maybe one or two need bringing down slightly. And so I'm going to be, some of these I've thought about, some of them I'll be doing off the cuff, and some of them will be getting some advice from you guys and from chat. So this is how I would fix every single unit in the Guard Codex. Starting off, and we're going to be doing these rapid fire. Rapid fire. Okay. So starting off, we've got Lord Solar Leontus. Truth be told, I actually have no issue with this guy right now. I think that he does exactly what you need him to do. He's a good force multiplier. He can order super heavy units, and he gives you extra command points. The redeploying 3 units, it's not an overly useful ability. I rarely see it being used, but it's fine. It's fine. Not every ability needs to be absolutely S tier. The only thing this guy really needs to stay relevant is the points being correct. And right now, I think that his points, I'd probably bring him back down to his original 125, give him that extra 5 points cut, but that's it. I'm actually kind of happy with it. So Lord Solar Leontus, now some of you might be saying he should be able to order Ogrins and Bulgrins. I'm going to get to that. I'm not actually going to give this guy the ability to order Ogryn and Bulgrins. I'm going to leave him with ordering everything, Regiment, Squadron, and Titanic. All right? All right. So then we get to our next unit, Ursula Creed. So Ursula Creed is another one who I'm okay with. I think that her Lord Castellan ability is okay. Not, sometimes it's good, sometimes you don't really use it. Depends on if she's in a Supreme Command blob or just joining a big blob. But generally, I'm totally okay. I'm okay with Lord Castellan. And Tactical Genius is great. No issues with that whatsoever. Considering she costs 85 points, that is quite expensive. I would maybe change it so that Tactical Genius can help affect both Regiment and Squadron. But there could be some pretty big implications for doing that. So I'm kind of okay with Tactical Genius staying the way it is if I think she needs about a 10 points decrease. But other than that, I think Creed's data sheet on the whole is okay. Then we get to the Caden Castellan. Again, another unit who I think, this is a unit you see all the time. You see Lord Soul all the time. You see Creed all the time. And you see the Caden Castellan all the time. I don't think that a huge amount needs to be done to this character. He can join Caden Shock Troops. He can join Kazakin. It's not that the Caden Castellan needs to change. It's that there needs to be a officer who can order. There needs to be someone like this for the Kriegers and the Catachans. That's the biggie. Okay, so I have no issue with that. Then we get to the Cadian Command Squad. So my issue with the Cadian Command Squad is the fact that you have to take the Master Vox. I think taking a Master Vox should be an option, but I don't think it should be something you have to do. What I would much rather, this is a very simple change. What I would do is say you have to take the flag, but the Master Vox is one that you... It's not even that. Very simply, I would give it the Kashtan treatment. I'd give it the Kashtan treatment. You can choose to take all the extra equipment, or you can load up on some extra special weapons. It's that simple. I think having it where you have to take the Master Vox and you have to take the medic, I don't like that. I would just go, look, you can choose if you want to have 4 special weapons in here, or if you want to have the other options. Yeah, that's fine. Some people might say that pairs really well with the Cadian Castellan, because obviously he can do sustained hits. And yeah, you're probably right. It does. But I think you'll still find that for a lot of if you're going to make something mandatory, if that's an issue, if you're going to make something mandatory, I'd say you make the flag mandatory, and then you can swap the Master Vox out for another special weapon. But still, I think that it would be better if you could have it where you could take extra weapons. And being honest here, it's not actually OP, because, oh no, you can take an extra grenade launcher, an extra flamer. Well, the flamer's not going to be affected by the Cadian Castellan because it auto hits. And the grenade launcher, you might get 1 extra crack grenade. Neither is particularly powerful. Do you know what I mean? So so immediately you're going to have people coming out the woodwork being like, "Ah, you can't take 4 special weapons." Ah! But if you're still limiting it to the fact that you can't take duplicates, then it's literally not a problem whatsoever. It's like, just look at the big picture. So yeah, if you go minimum case, I'd say the Master Vox should be able to be swapped out. But I would personally say that you can have 4 special weapons in this squad if you need to. Krieg Command Squad. I think I'd give it the same treatment as I would the Cadian Castellans. I think, frankly, the alchemic counter... well, firstly, the alchemic counter agent should just be a 6-up feel no pain, full stop. It just should be 6-up pain, full stop. And there's 2 ways I would fix the Krieg Command Squad. I'd either limit them on their special weapons like they are, or I would make the alchemic counter agents... No, actually, I'm going to do both. I am going to say that you can take more special weapons in the Krieg squad, and alchemic counter agents gives you a 5-up feel no pain. Now, here's the thing. You have to choose between taking an extra special weapon and the alchemic counter agents. Now, most people are going to pick the alchemic counter agents, but it means that you don't get firepower and the feel no pain. In fact, what I'd probably, thinking about this a bit further, I would have it where the Kriegers can get 1 extra special weapon, but they have to choose between the guy who's got the alchemic counter agents and the servo scribes, and then the extra special weapon. So it's like, okay, do you go for 2 extra special weapons? Because I'd have one guy have the scribes, one guy have the alchemic counter agents, and it'd be like, so you can either go for 2 extra special weapons, or you can go for the extra order and the extra and the feel no pain. Yeah. Squidfist, you reckon 5-up feel no pain is an auto take? I'd be open to it being a 6-up. Here's the thing. I would make it a 5-up feel no pain, but I'd then change the 40k rules where feel no pains can't be taken against weapons that have strength, W, or toughness. And that way, being a 5-up feel no pain isn't a problem. But if that's not possible, I would simply change the counter agents to being a 6-up feel no pain. 6-up feel no pain, and you can take some extra special weapons. Yeah, the Krieg Command Squad needs more than what it's got right now. That's the thing. The Cadian one is just very, very good. What would you need to change to make the Krieg Command Squad be more viable than the Cadian Command Squad? That's what you've got to think. It's not just in isolation. You've got to think, how how do you change this so that it's not just that the Krieg command squad is better, that it's equal to the Kadrian one? Because right now, the Kadrian one is very good because it can get more special weapons and it can pair with sustained hits with the Castellum. So how do we make this one able to match that? And how I would say you make it match it is you get the 6-up Feel No Pain, and you get the extra order on one guy, or, that's it. That's it right there. You choose between taking extra special weapons, like, let's say you can get, like, all 4 of these special weapons in there again, right? But then you have to choose between that and someone getting a Master Vox, someone getting a Regimental Standard, someone getting the Feel No Pain, and I would say Servo Scribes should not be once per battle. That's how you make people take the Krieg one, because the Krieg one becomes a command squad that can do 2 orders, and that's what makes it unique. And then the Krieg don't suffer from the bottleneck, because what you can do is you can take 6 squads of 20 Kriegers and take 3 command squads and have all the orders you need for that infantry wave. That's really the key here. That's really the key. So if there was any one change that I would make, it would be Servo Scribes just gives you an extra order. But there's a choice between Servo Scribes and a special weapon, the counter agents and a special weapon, a Regimental Standard and a special weapon, and a Master Vox and a special weapon. That's how I would do it. So Lord Marshal Dreer. Now, this guy is phenomenally disappointing. He is phenomenally disappointing, and there's many things that I would do to fix him. Firstly, he needs a better ranged weapon. He needs some kind of like plasma trench shotgun. Shout out to Looted09 for that idea. But yeah, he needs something better than that. Now, how I would also change Lord Marshal Dreer is I would allow him to join Death Corps. I'd give him the ability to join Death Corps Krieg squads and Engineer squads. He's never going to want to join an Engineer squad, but I would say he can join both of those. He should be able to join any Krieg unit, not like artillery teams. Do you know what I mean? Now, the reason why you wanted to be able to join Kriegers is he should be able to be the supreme command blob for the Kriegers. Krieg players who want to take pure Krieg armies should be able to take this guy as like their Lord Marshal, as their Lord Solar. So firstly, I'd let him just join a Krieg command squad. Now, the next thing I would do is so you know how Lord Sol Leontus can order Regiment, Squadron, and Titanic? I would say Lord Marshal Dreer can order Regiment, Squadron, and Auxilia. That's what differentiates him. So you take Lord Marshal Dreer because he's meant to be like the assault commander. He's meant to be the guy that like leads the close combat shit going on. And so that's how I would make him I'd make him equal points to the Lord Solar. So he can do orders to Auxilia units. He is tough to kill. He has his own inbuilt Feel No Pain. And I would give him the ability to join. And I wouldn't change leading the charge. I would just make it so that he's doing 2 damage on his Saber of Sacrifice. And he can join imagine this, Lord Marshal Dreer, a Krieg command squad, and then also you've got a giant blob of Kriegers all charging forward, all benefiting from leading the charge. That would be really cool. That would be really, really cool. And I think that fixes him. I don't know if it makes him an auto-include, but I think that fixes him. And that's how you differentiate him from the Lord Solar as well. Catachan Command Squad. So the thing is, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the Catachan Command Squad. The problem is the unit that they can join. Catachans are innately a cheap screening sacrificial unit. And so you're very unlikely to want to take a big squad of 20 and then attach a Catachan command squad to it. So for me, I don't really see anything particularly wrong with the Catachan command squad. I see a problem with with what they can join. And the other thing that I see a problem with is the fact that they don't have their own independent officer. So what I would probably do to fix... I think the Catachan command squad's got a decent ability, giving everyone assault. I think the Catachan command squad has got a really good mixture of options that it can take. I have no issue with any of that whatsoever. What I think you need to fix the Catachan command squad is the equivalent of a Cajun Castellan for the Catachans. You need the Catachan Colonel. You need the Catachan Colonel to be released as a plastic model. And you need to improve the Catachan base squads. What I would be seriously tempted to do, and we'll get to the Catachans when we get to them, but what I would be seriously tempted to do is to give the Catachan command squad the ability for everybody to take a power weapon. And the officer can obviously take a power fist. And I would probably, I would give them the gung-ho command. I'd keep gung-ho command as it is. But what I would probably do is have a Catachan Colonel, a plastic Catachan Colonel, that allows them to advance and charge. So if you stack the Catachan Colonel with the Catachan command squad, you have a unit which can advance and shoot and charge, but at the end of the day, it's just a guardsman squad. That's what I would probably do, because really advancing and charging with guardsmen isn't such a big deal. Maybe that's a little crazy, but I wouldn't really change the Catachan command squad all that much. It's more about it's not able to act as the force multiplier it needs to act because there's missing units. That's the problem. There's missing units. It needs more things that it can join. It needs a Catachan Colonel. Yeah. But the Catachan command squad isn't the problem. It's the things around it which are the problem. Right, Sly Marbo. This guy needs a complete fucking rewrite from top to bottom. Frankly, he should be. Firstly, I would make it so I would make it so Sly Marbo has uppy downy. That, like fighting a shadow, should be uppy downy. First one. Second thing is one-man army should be, I think should be when he gets, it should be like Lord Marshal Dreer. It should be when he gets knocked down, he gets back up but on full wounds. I'd then give Sly Marbo an inbuilt, I'd make him toughness, I'd make him have an assassin stat line. And I would basically make him like an Eversaw assassin. That's what it should be. I'd basically make this guy a guard Eversaw assassin, but with uppy downy. And he can get back up the first time he dies. And if you want to charge me well over 100 points for him, that's fine. Here's the thing. Marbo should be badass. I am very, very willing to spend the points on Marbo being badass. Very, very, very willing to spend those points. But I am not willing to spend the points on Marbo being a fucking pussyo, which is what he is now. Yeah. Lehman Russ Commander. I have absolutely no changes I would make to this unit. I think it is great. The only change it used to need was it needed 2 orders. It can now do 2 orders. So, yeah, awesome. Rogel Dawn Commander. The only thing... So, I'm totally okay with the Rogel Dawn Commander. The only thing that I think it needs is Nipple Plasma and Sponson Plasma. And that's fine. It's not the Rogel Dawn Commander which has any issues. It's the weapon. It's the fact that its sponsons are so weird and its nipple weapons are so weird. Primaris Psyker. This one's really easy. You just change Psychic Barrier to be a 4 from vulnerable save in shooting and melee. You do it in the command phase. So what you do is you do it in the command phase. It lasts until the start of your next command phase. And you get to re-roll the psychic barrier dice if there's a commissar also in the unit. But if you fail it the second time, the commissar executes the Primaris Psyker, and you don't suffer any mortal wounds. So you're very likely to get it off on a 2+ rerollable. Maybe make it a 3+ rerollable. I don't know. But that's what I would do. That's what I would do. Do I have Gaunt's Ghosts here? Oh, yeah. Nork Dead Dog. So. He's just too expensive. He is too expensive, and I think there's two ways you go with Nork. You either make him really good at twatting stuff, which is kind of what he is like right now, but he needs like a 10 to 20 point cut. Or Nork gives any unit that he joins +1 toughness. Or any unit he joins gets the benefit of cover. Because even if it's a big unit, because basically he's at the front of the unit tanking all the shots. That's how I would fix him. I think you make Nork... you need to represent the fact that he is a bodyguard better and that he is tanking stuff better. That's what you need to do. Gaunt's Ghosts, I have no real problem with Gaunt's Ghosts. I think they are fine. They do uppy downy. Yeah, I don't think there's any need to change anything about Gaunt's Ghosts. They're a bit. I'd maybe streamline some of the equipment because it's a bit annoying how they've all got their own individual weapon, but it's not so annoying that I really care about it. Militarum Tempestus Command Squad. So these guys are obviously too expensive. The way I fix all Scions is I give them a separate points cost for being in Bridgehead to the other detachments because they're great in Bridgehead, but they're not worth it outside of Bridgehead. I have no real issues with the Militarum Tempestus Command Squad other than their points value. If I was to change one thing, I think that the Command Rod should allow him to order 2 units. And the officer should get a power weapon. Yes, you're right, Steve. Yeah. He should get a power weapon, and he should be able to do 2 orders with the command rod. And he should have to pick between doing, between his he should have to pick between his plasma pistol and his command rod. Yeah. Ministorm Priest, man. So he's just like a melee buff character, which unfortunately, I think it's quite simple. And I don't like rerolls, but I think that Holy Piety should apply to the whole unit. So yeah, he gives sustained hits 1 and 4 rerolls in the first round of combat. Or maybe if the unit charges. If the unit charges, then everyone gets to reroll to hit. Yeah. But I think right now, yeah, that's all you do. Holy Piety just affects the whole unit, and it's when they charge. Tech Redundancy, absolutely 0 changes. Goated unit, literally doesn't need anything. Commissar! Easy fix. You change 2 things. 2 things and 2 things only. Firstly, you give him access to the full suite of orders. Secondly, you allow him to order Ogrins and Bulgrins. and actually, you change 3 things. You allow him to join. You give him the full suite of orders. You allow him to join Ogryns and Bullgryns. I think that's probably it, actually. Oh, and he can join them and he can order them. That's it. So we can join auxiliary stuff. I think the way, yeah, the way you do it is how I change it. So he can join. So he gets the full suite of orders. Number 1. So the reason why that's really important is because it means that he can act as that extra independent character, which the Kriegers are missing and the Catachans are missing. So he basically becomes the Catachan Colonel, the Krieg Marshal. He becomes that. And I think that's a great stopgap until those regiments get their own thing. So he can still only do 1 order, but you could have him join, you could have it so, he can start taking advantage of things like the Master Vox. He just becomes a 1 order, regiment agnostic, standalone officer. So that's the first thing you do. Second thing you do is you allow him to join Ogryns and Bullgryn units. And when he joins Ogryns and Bullgryn units, he's allowed to order them. Okay? So he can't order them normally. He can't order them via the Master Vox because they don't understand. They don't understand what it's just the Master Vox is just like beeping on the wrist and they're like, duh. So he has to be able to join the unit. If he's leading a unit, he then gets to, of abhumans, he then gets to join. He then gets to order them. If he's not leading the Ogryns and Bullgryns, he doesn't get to order them. That's it. So he can either act as a... actually, I'm going to take it a step further. He can do 2 orders if he's joining non-auxiliar. He does 2 orders. He's just like he's just like Acadian Castellan, okay? He does 2 orders, full suite of orders, 55 points, make him regiment agnostic, great. If he joins the Ogryns or Bullgryns, he can only do 1 order because he has to tell them how to do things twice because they're quite stupid. It takes them a couple of times to pick it up. That's how it is. So he can do 1 order whilst leading Ogryn and Bullgryn squads, and he can only order them whilst he's leading them, or he can do 2 orders if he is leading a non-Ogryn and Bullgryn unit. Yeah. That's how you do it. But I think that, and you can make him 60 points if you want. You can make it, but I don't want my Commissar to be a 30-point stick him in reserve, do secondary objectives unit. I want my Commissar to be, I want him to be proper. I don't mind paying points for good abilities. Yeah. Caden Shock Troops. I do not really have any changes that I would make for these guys. It is a shame that they can't take like plasma pistols and power swords anymore. Yeah, I would like it if one change I will make. I tell you what, Caden Shock Troops, Death Corps of Krieg, Catachan Jungle Fighters, all core infantry should all get access to the full suite of special weapons. All of them. I think the only reason they don't is because of the stupid model box bollocks policy. And I think we need to give them all access. Yes, I think that makes Catachan Jungle Fighters being able to scout with like melter guns. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. I have no issue with that. It's not that broken. It's not that broken at all. They're still guardsmen. They're still going to get swept away very, very quickly. Yeah. Kazakin, absolutely amazing. No changes whatsoever. Love them. Krieg Combat Engineers. Oh, this is a biggie. So, fundamental rewrite of their entire datasheet. Firstly, I would make them be able to get access to the full suite of special weapons. No, just taking one flame is bollocks. I'm happy if you... secondly, I would make it where they can get more special weapons the larger the squad. Thirdly, I would give them ballistic skill 3+ as standard. So how many special weapons would I give them? I'm as crazy as it sounds, I'm okay with 2 per... with 1 per 5. I'd give them... What I would do is I would give them 1 per 5, but then give them the full suite. But then if you take a 10-man squad, you also get to take a heavy flamer team in there as well. So you actually end up with 3 special weapons and the sergeant with the plasma pistol and power sword. Now, what I would do is I would change their special. So I don't like the remote mine. But what I would do is Scion's Deep Strike, Kazakin Scout, Combat Engineers should infiltrate. And what I would do is I would change it so that if they are, I would change it so that if they are equipped with the remote mine, once per turn, so it's not a once per battle ability, it's a once per turn ability, they can select an enemy unit within 12 inches and that unit no longer benefits from cover. So the idea is they're sending a remote mine out and it basically makes the enemy it basically takes the cover, it blows the cover up that the enemy's in for that turn. That's what I would do. So they're infiltrating with the ability to remove cover, but less special weapons than Kriegers and Scions. Then Kazakin and Scions. Scions are totally fine. They just need to come down in points. That's it. If I was to make a controversial decision, I would actually take Deep Strike away from Scions and give that to the Aquilans. I keep it so Aquilans are the only ones with it. But what I would do is I'd make them much cheaper. And I would make Scions much cheaper. And I would make Torx Primes cheaper and Valkyries cheaper. That's what I would do. So your Scions can basically get their Deep Strike back via the Valkyries if they want it. Yeah. Tempestus Aquilans, they're the ones that get Deep Strike. Tempestus Aquilans, they get Deep Strike. I mean, honestly, I would basically make Tempestus Aquilans get all... They should have all the war gear up. They should be able to take all the special weapons that Scions can get, but they have Deep Strike, and that's why they're more expensive. So Scions can be cheaper and foot slogging or riding around in transports. Aquilans can Deep Strike, but are much more expensive. So what I would probably do, and also I'd make it so Aquilans come in 5 to 10-man squads. And what I would do is I say in a 5-man squad, your sergeant gets plasma pistol and power sword, and you get one of the melter or plasma carbine units. And then in a 10-man squad, you can take up to 3 special weapons, and you get the sentry gun, and you get your sergeant with plasma pistol and power sword. And that's how you do it. And then what I'd probably do is I'm not even bothered about... I mean, if you want Deep Strike within 6 inches, fine. I wouldn't really be bothered about that. But what I'd probably do is they've already got assault on all of their weapons. I'd be really tempted to give them a 9-inch base movement. Maybe a 12-inch base movement. So they Deep Strike 9 inches away, but then they've got jetpacks, so they fly around the board really quickly. That's what I would do. It's obviously a jetpack, you know? Yeah. So you end up with basically a 10-man squad with 3 special weapons, a sentry gun, and a plasma pistol that can Deep Strike and have a 12-inch move as standard. Yeah. Either that, or you give them like they can move after shooting, jump, shoot, jump, just to really fucking piss people off. I'd absolutely if they had jump, shoot, jump, yeah, I'd take that. Yeah. So yeah, either make these guys basically deep striking scions with loads of special weapons in a big squad, and make these guys like foot slogging scions, as it were. Or keep these guys with deep strike and give these guys some more special weapons and either give them a better base move. So more special weapons, but not as many as scions, and give them a better base move, or let them jump, shoot, jump. Yeah. Ogre Bodyguard, man. See, the thing is, you want to make them basically be able to do the same thing as Nork, but for cheaper, but not quite as good. But then yeah. So Nork should give the whole unit +1 toughness and the benefit of cover. Ogre Bodyguards should do just the benefit of cover as people hide behind them. Ogre Squad, fine, no changes. Borgin Squad, fine, no changes. Kane Heavy Weapons Squad. So the problem for me here is covering fire. Just a bit of a shit ability, frankly. The issue with all the heavy weapon squads is that they're just a bit expensive. I don't really have any major thoughts around the Caden Heavy Weapons Squad, other than I don't really like the covering fire ability. If I was to change anything about the covering fire ability, I would say that you can use the Overwatch stratagem for free on this unit, and it doesn't count towards your limit on Overwatch. If you want to stick with that. I quite like Justin Polo's thing. Give them entrench, 18-inch loan up if they remain stationary. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. You know what I'd do? Okay, this is what I'd do. Rev got it right. I'd make them attach. So what I would say, if they have mortars, they can't attach. If they have any other weapon, they can attach to a Cadian squad, but they count as a leader. So that way you can't like, they count as a leader, and you can only attach one per Cadian blob. Yeah. So the idea is the end result is you can't take like 3 of these things and attach them to one blob. You could take 3 of them and attach them to like, a 10 or 20 man blob, but then you've only got one other leader slot available. That's what I would do. Yeah. Katachan heavy weapon. So, okay. No. Here we go. So, I would leave in that case, I would leave covering fire exactly as it is, and then covering fire when they attach to the Cadian blob, the whole blob can benefit from covering fire. Oh, that's it. That's how you fix these guys. So covering fire isn't that great on one of these things, but if you can attach them to a Cadian blob, then covering fire becomes absolutely legit. Absolutely legit, really, really good. And then you do the same thing with the Katachan Heavy Weapons Squad. They can do the same thing. If they've got mortars, they can't join. If they've got missile launchers, lascans, autocans, heavy bolters, they can join. And if they do, then bring it down affects the unit they join. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. That's so fucking legit, man. That's so fucking legit. And then, okay, now Krieg Heavy Weapons Squads, I would say they're the ones that can't join. That's the difference. I think Krieg Heavy Weapons Squad shouldn't be able to join because Final Duty would be too powerful on an entire blob of Kriegers, for sure, man. For sure. So either we change Final Duty and they can join, or we don't change final duty and they can't join. I think most people are pretty happy with Krieg Heavy Weapons Squads where they are right now. I don't think they really need the chance to join. I think they're fine. Yeah. Artillery teams. So the only thing I would change about them is the fucking abilities shit, man. It's just battle shock. Do you know what I mean? In your shooting phase, after this model is shot, if one or more of those attacks made with an indirect fire weapon scored a hit against an enemy unit, that unit must take a battle shock. And if is being hit by one or more attacks made by a multiple rocket launcher, they must subtract 1 from their battle shock on doing so. Yeah, it's just a bit shit, isn't it? Do we just give them the basilisk effect? But I don't. We could do, but then it kind of de-incentivizes you to take the basilisk, right? Maybe you give these guys the ability to slow down. Okay, this is what I do. These guys can slow down infantry only. Basilisk can slow down everyone. You could have it where you could have it. That's a simple change. I do quite like the idea of if they fail a battle shock test, then they suffer the -2 to hit, and then infantry get. So yeah, there's maybe the basilisk always slows things down. Maybe the basilisk always slows things down, and this thing can slow things down on a failed battle shock test. But if it's infantry, it's -1, and that way that's the difference. Yeah, that's the difference. I'm generally fine with the artillery team, but the remorseless barrage is a bit weak. If it's only a battle shock, I think this is a change that needs to happen across the board. Inflicting a battle shock means fucking nothing, but having them take a battle shock test, and if they fail it, suffering an effect because of that is much, much more impactful, because this is happening in your turn. They just also pass the battle shock in their turn. Yeah. Field Or's battery, I'm fine with it. I just think that the managed rocket launcher should have indirect fire. And I think the bombast field gun should either be AP -2 base or should be like D6 +1. I think the bombast guns are too swingy. They're just way, way, way too swingy. And the managed rocket launcher is really reliable, but it can't indirect fire, which is a pisser. So I'd probably have it where the bombast field. I'd make them the same cost as an artillery team. D3 +3. Maybe D3 +2. I'd either have D6 +1 or D3 +3. Or D3 +2. Something like that. But yeah, I think this is fine. This is absolutely fine. But the managed rocket launcher, I think, needs indirect fire. And the bombast field gun, I think, needs a slightly more reliability. It never rolls a 7. It always rolls way below. Rough Riders are fine. No need to make any changes. Death Riders. Okay, honestly. Okay, so Rough Riders, you never get to use the Horse Master ability because they always die. So it's a bit of a shit ability. I'd probably have it where they lose. They're never affected by movement modifiers, probably. But yeah. Death Riders, on the other hand, I'd give them Melter Lances, and then that probably solves most of it. Are they basically the same stat line? Yeah, okay, it's super simple. Death Riders should have a 6-up Feel No Pain inbuilt because they're slower, and they should get Melter Lances. And that's the very least that I would do to change them. But I'd also probably, I don't like Screening Line. I'm going to be honest, I don't like Screening Line. You know, cavalry should be something that charges gloriously. no matter what it is, it should be doing a glorious charge. So I quite like the idea from Steve. Give them the jump pack intercessor ability. Yeah. So these guys are tough and hit hard. These guys should be fast and ignore movement penalties. Something like that. Yeah, that should be the general vibe. Rattlings are fine. Most people just use them as a cheap screening unit. I don't see any major outcry for any change to them. I'm okay with rattlings. So the problem with Armor Sentinels is that they are competing with Leman Russes. And they're very expensive. And I think the reality of the situation is that they probably... You either need to make them much, much cheaper, or you need to make them much more better in melee. They should become the equivalent of a... I think the way you make Armor Sentinels work is you basically make them guard killer cans. I think you make them guard killer cans. They're never ever going to compete with Leman Russes on firepower. And yet that's what they're always going to be competing against. So what you do is you make it so only the armored sentinels get the sentinel chainsaw. And then you make the sentinel chainsaw and you make it like a killer can. And the idea is that these guys are your melee walkers for the faction. Scout sentinels are fine. They do not need any changes. They're totally okay. Torxes are fine. They do not need any changes. They're totally okay. Torx primes are fine. The problem is that scions are too expensive. So all they need is a points adjustment. Chimeras are fine. They don't need any changes. Lemur's battle tank is totally okay and does not need any changes. Lemur's Demolisher very simply needs to have the proper Demolisher cannon back, and then it'll be okay. Lemur's Vanquisher is fine and does not need any changes. Lemur's Executioner needs a new ability. Gung Ho Executioners. Each time model makes an attack with a cannon that targets you that is below half strength, add 1 to the hit roll. If you want to stick with that, I'd say below starting strength.
This
I still don't like it.
It's a weapon of war. It's made to kill your enemy.
I think you simply change it to below starting strength. Yeah, below starting strength. That's it. Wellington, the Leman Russ Punisher. I mean, you could just make it 125 points, but I still don't know if people would take it. It's too, yeah. It's a toughie. At 125, I'd rather have a Hellhound. Well, that's it, isn't it? You've got a few options. One of the options is... Okay, you've got a few options that you need to throw out there. One of the options is you change mode down the enemy so that it does death wounds to everyone. Not just infantry, not just things that aren't monsters and vehicles. The other option is you just double the number of shots the Punisher Gatling Cannon gets. Just give it 40 shots, something mental. Or you give it something like sustained 2. Or maybe you just give it... Maybe you don't change anything about it except one very, very simple thing. You give it anti-infantry 5+. Because that, you give it anti-infantry 5+, and you have that effect like all its weapons. Hence why you would actually have the incentive to take like heavy bolters and stuff. But yeah, if you give it anti-infantry 5+, then it means that it does mow down the enemy affects everyone, but the Punisher Gatling Cannon has anti-infantry 5+, means that it means that it's going to do twice as many dev wounds. So if you have a Punisher Gatling cannon, it's going to fire 20 shots. If you give it take aim, it's going to hit with like 12-ish, 13, 14-ish shots. So that means it goes from doing like 2 dev wounds to like 4 dev wounds. Yeah. Which is a bit better. So it can dev wound I think it's simple. Mow down the enemy. Each time this model makes an attack, makes a ranged attack, that attack has a devastating wounds ability, so it affects infantry monsters, and then you give the Punisher Gatling Cannon anti-infantry 5+. So that way, it can do dev wounds to everyone. Or if that seems really, 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 really OP, like really OP, what you do is you change it so it says, mow down the enemy each time this model makes an attack with its Punisher Gatling Cannon, Heavy Stubber, or Stormbolter, or Heavy Bolters. So it only affects the bullet chucking. That's what you do. So you have mow down the enemy affect a lot more than just the Punisher Gatling Cannon. It doesn't affect all weapons, but it affects a list of weapons. So it affects the heavy bolters, anything that's chucking bullets. Anything that's chucking bullets, it gets dev wounds. And you do that, I think you fix it. Because then you don't need to increase the amount of shots of the Punisher Gatling Cannon. Then you don't need to start messing about with making the you could maybe give the Punisher Gatling Cannon anti-infantry 5+ as well if you wanted to, but that way taking a Punisher Gatling Cannon with all of the DACA on it would be really cool, because that way that's how you get more shots, because then you're gonna get 9 heavy bolter shots plus another 6 heavy stubber shots, so that's additional 15 shots. So that's 35 shots coming from this thing, all with the potential to do dev wounds, and the heavy bolters can do like 2 dev wounds. There you go. And the heavy bolters are going to get sustained hits. That's how you do it. You just make it so that mow down the enemy affects a specific list of weapons, and it's the bullet chucking weapons. Yeah. Exterminator is fine. No changes required. Eradicator. Right. So the Eradicator should be good, but the problem is that I think it's very simple. It just always has -1 damage. That simple. Not if it has the benefit of cover, not range attacks. The Eradicator always has -1 damage. You do that, makes it much. This thing does fuck all damage. It should at the very least be able to take some. Rogal Dawn is fine. No changes. Just needs a nipple plasma and sponson plasma. Give all of the Lehman Russ sponson options to the Rogal Dawn and allow it to take nipple stubbers, nipple melter guns, or nipple plasma guns. That's it. Or nipple flamers. Yeah. So basically, the nipples are the smaller versions of the sponsons. And then obviously granular points and make the twin battle cannon much cheaper. Basilisk. I'm just going to say it. I think we need to give heavy back to the vehicle artillery. I think we do. Vehicle orders are so much more expensive. I think vehicle orders are so much more expensive. I don't even mind if there's a little points increase, but I think they need to have heavy back, because at the moment no one's taking vehicle artillery because no one's really. The other option is you give them the regiment keyword so that they still have to have orders, but they can at least get those orders from infantry officers, so it's not as expensive. But that's it. Either they get the regiment keyword or they get heavy. But they need. Right now, they need something. Regiment keyword in the artillery detachment? Great idea, Emperor Zainam. Yeah. Regiment mean they can be reinforcements? Just change the reinforcement stratagem. Just change that. Yeah. I think give them heavy is fine. I think either give them heavy or give them the regiment keyword and the artillery detachment. I think both of those work. One or the other. Hydra. Okay, so the problem with the Hydra is it just doesn't have enough shots. It's never worth it because it doesn't have enough shots. The Hydra should be getting... it should be getting 8 shots, frankly. Yeah. Or it should be getting rapid fire. One of the two. I'm happy for it to just get rapid fire 4. So when it's in 36 inch range, it gets 4 extra shots. But it's just not, yeah, it's just not got enough shots. Manticore just needs to go back to its old stat line. This is just, frankly, just upsetting. Yeah, this stat line is frankly upsetting. Yeah. Anti-infantry, either that or it just needs a really, really big points cut. Wyvern should get in the bin, and then we should get the Griffin out. But if you want a more constructive answer, the Wyvern should be 2 Malleus rocket launchers. So it should be 2d6. Maybe not plus 12, maybe that's too much. But 2d6 plus 6. I don't want... I mean, you could... Yeah, it just needs more shots. I don't care how you do it. It just needs more shots. And have its ability affect more than just vehicles and monsters. More than just non-vehicle monsters. Death Strike. Bring back the God Spear Warhead. Bring it back. Bring back, basically take the 9th edition Codex Death Strike and bring it in here, and we're fine. Hellhound is fine. I don't think there's any complaints about the Hellhound. Give it a stubber because I want it to have one, but that's it. Baneblade is fine. It just needs, I think it needs a slightly punchier main weapon. The fact that this is just an oppressor cannon is kind of bleh. I give it strength 13 and a more reliable number of shots. Bane Hammer. It's pretty shit, the Bane Hammer. I'd change its ability. So I'd change its ability so that the enemy unit is auto battle shocked. Until the start of your next command phase, the enemy unit hit by the tremor quake is battle shocked automatically. So they don't get to undo it in their turn. Bane Sword is fine. Hellhammer, it's just the main gun is just frankly piss. This is a fucking car crash of a main gun. Make it powerful. Stormlord. You know what? All I do is give the Vulcan Mega Bolt to an extra AP. That's it. Storm Sword is fine. Doomhammer. You know what? I'm going to make no changes to the Doomhammer because the people, they love the Doomhammer. They don't want it to change. They want it the way it is. The only thing I would maybe do, I can make it D6 plus 6 shots. Shadow Sword is great. Wouldn't change anything. Valkyrie, it just needs to be like 120 points. Do you know what I mean? It just needs to be way cheaper. Like 100 points. As in, give it a 3-up save. I don't care. Make it less durable. I'm fine with that, okay? I'm actually fine with it. Just make it way cheaper. Okay? Make it way cheaper. And at the end of your opponent's movement phase, one or more units embark on the transport spot. I mean, airborne insertion, shit, man. Make it free. I think you make it much cheaper. An airborne insertion, whilst this unit is in reserve, any unit which is embarked within it made deep strike onto the board. Any unit which already has deep strike made deep strike within 6 inches and can charge. That's how you do it. So it gives deep strike out, and then if you already have deep strike, you get super deep strike. That's what you do. There you go. And what you do is, it stays in reserve, right? Think about this. It stays in reserve. A unit that's embarked in it can deep strike onto the board, and then another unit which was in reserve can then embark in it, and it can deep strike that unit on the board. Then it can come on itself. So it's going in, dropping people off, and going out again. Going in, dropping people off, and going out again. Even if it has to, like, you know what I'm trying to say. And then obviously turn 3 it has to come in. So maybe the way you do it is turn 2 it does the deep strike. Turn 3 it comes in with a new unit. So essentially it deep strikes one unit and then it brings another one in, and then turn 3 it's committed to the battlefield. Yeah. And then fix the flower rules. Aegis defense line. So this one's, I can actually fix this one super easy. So don't look. Firstly, you know what? You just fucking steal the old 6th edition rules for it. So it costs 50 points. It acts as a terrain piece. So your opponent, so you basically, it costs 50 points. You deploy it in your deployment zone. Anyone behind it, just give them super cover. It's that simple. Just give them +2 to their save. That's how you change it, man. So you just basically, it's just like, because anyone who's hiding behind, because here's the thing, right? You might think that's super powerful, but you got to think, man, anyone who's just hiding behind the defense line isn't advancing into the middle of the board to get primary. So so they're like, oh yeah, I'm safe behind my defense line, and you're like, great, you're just missing out on all the primary points. So it's just something to help you with a bit of, it's just something to make you a bit more durable on deployment. And the reason why I quite like that is because then you compare that with things like heavy las cannon teams on FOBs. And you can be like, hey, look, I'm going to put my heavy las cannon teams with all my field ores batteries behind my defense line. I'm going to get +2 to my save because of cover. And then it's not actually suicide that I just like start like out there. That's how I would do it. So it's just a deployable bit of cover that actually work, and that actually just gives you super cover, which is +2 to your save. Yeah. Because then you've got FOBs on like a 2-up save, which is actually pretty legit. Where I don't know where the field ores batteries are, but yeah, I mean, put it this way, man. I'd absolutely legit have field ores batteries behind an Aegis defense line with heavy las cannons if they had a 2-up fucking save, man. Yeah. That's how I'd do it. And because if the enemy ignores cover, then they're going to die. But if the enemy doesn't ignore cover, yeah, and maybe you have a whole thing where like they have to be within they have to be like in range, so they can't just be behind it at the very back of the board. They have to be like within 3 inches of it. Do you know what I mean? Something like that, in order to benefit from it. But yeah, that's how you make it so basically people on the defense line get +2 to their cover save. That's it. And that is how I would fix all the units in the Imperial Guard Codex. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet. I would then add, I would add conscript. If I was to add a unit to the Codex, I would add conscripts. I think I want them, okay? I want them, all right? And I've been a really good boy, and I've been very, very sensible up until this point. And now I just want conscripts. Okay? That's it. I want these things, and I don't want to ask again. People are saying like tanks behind the defense line would be too broken. Maybe you just have it affect infantry, man. Yeah, maybe. I'm happy, but just something, make it cheaper and simpler. Okay, detachments. So fuck it. Let's do the detachments, man. We're here. And then we'll catch up on the super chats, right? So I don't think combined arms really needs any changes apart from reactive command can go in the bin. I think you just have reactive command be you can just do an order in your opponent's turn. So you can have a unit and just be like, hey, look, guess what? Go for a bit of take cover. Yeah, just have reactive command just be a bonus order that you can only do in your opponent's turn. Really simple. Make like 10 points. I don't think anything else here is bad. It's fine. I just have Stalwart Protector be... they get cover. If they already have cover, they get +1 to their save. So you can stack things up quite nicely that way. Siege Regiment's super simple. You just get rid of the 12-inch qualifier. It's that simple. So you can creeping barrage someone. You just pick 3 units. There's no 12-inch qualifier. And you just have Incendiary Bombardment B, remove cover from them. And Creeping Barrage, if you think -2 move, -2 advance from 3 units is too OP, then make it -1 move, -1. But you -1 move, -1 advance, -1 charge. Yeah. I don't really care. But make it so there's no 12-inch qualifier and it's not random. That's it. Other than that, Siege is fine. Don't need to change anything about it. Mech Assault. So the issue with Mech Assault is you have to get your dudes out the transports. And I think I would probably go for a more... I think I'd go for a different approach with the detachment entirely. I think I'd embrace a more trad mech style where you want to be encouraging people to be staying like in the transports. It's too similar to Bridgehead as well, frankly. I'd probably, do you know what I'd probably do? I'd probably give all of your transports extra movement. So like supercharged engines. Maybe like +1 or +2 movement would be kind of cool. And I'd have it where there's an enhancement to make, well, you've already got that with Vox Relay, so that's fine. Yeah, I think just Armored Fist. It needs to be, I mean, look at this. It needs to be infantry and chimeras, right? That's what it needs to be. Auto advance 6. Okay, I've got it. All your transports get assault, so they can move and advance and shoot. I think you have it so they also all get +1 to their move, advance, and charge range. So they're fast. That's what I'd do. I just don't like, it needs to be about speed. This needs to be the speedy detachment, all right? Hammer the Emperor is fine. The only thing I would change is that you can move through enemy units as long as you don't end on them. So basically you just like drive through enemy units. Yeah. In fact, you know what I'd probably do? So I would have it where this one gets like maybe auto advance 6 and assault on all your transports. And this one can move over enemy units. And each unit that you move, each squadron unit that moves over an enemy unit can do like mortal wounds. So basically you're just plowing through the lines. And that can affect your transports as well. So these ones are like fast, but have to go around the enemy. These ones are slow, but are going to crush the enemy. Yeah. So recon is like good. I don't really have any issues with recon, truth be told. What I think we need is an extra infantry. Honestly, I don't have any issues with recon. I'm happy with recon. Yeah. I don't think it needs any changes. It's not the things that recon isn't the problem. It's the lack of heavy weapons inside infantry blobs, which is the problem. But that would get fixed by our changes to Katachan and Cajun heavy weapon squads. So there we go. That is how I would fix the Guard Codex as it stands right now. And I'd add loads of units in as well. I'd be adding units in. I've mentioned that a few times, but without going, that's probably going to become a separate video. Like, what units would I add to the Guard? We'll do that in a separate video sometime, but that is how I would fix the existing Codex. There you go. What do you guys think? What do you think of Mordian's changes? I don't think anything I've suggested there is particularly broken or OP. The idea is trying to improve the internal balance. Rather, and there's been if something's fine, I've left it. If something is just never seen because it's been trash since day one, I've tried to boost it. That's what I've tried to do. What do you guys give it out of 10? What do you give Mordian's changes out of 10? Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, RJ, Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Picklock the Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.